Hello everyone, school is in session. Get out your notes, you're going to want to write about this lesson. I'm taking you back to the 1920s where Prohibition was giving partygoers a run for their money. Speaking of, you might laugh, but it's not really that funny. But we laugh and we pass the flask and we talk about a fella named Gatsby. How'd he happen? Well, we don't know yet. Because that's somebody Nick Carraway hasn't even met. Oh, you must know Gatsby, everyone says, but he doesn't. All he sees is this man standing, sad, unplanned, gazing at a light. And now, we're going to talk about Nick Carraway's first night. In his younger and more vulnerable years, Nick Carraway was given some choice advice. Hello everyone, welcome to this week's video. It's going to be the first in a series of videos called The Ginger Vulcan Speaks. And this first little mini-series within the series section, take that Leo, is going to be The Great Gatsby. And I know the text is mirrored, but The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. The first lines, and we're just going over chapter 1 in this. The first lines in the book are actually, in my younger and more vulnerable years, this is Nick Carraway speaking. In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some choice advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, he told me, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you've had. Now, the book opens by Nick looking you straight in the face and checking his privilege. That's the only time he does that in this entire book. He just kind of throws all that out the window. Because he proceeds to then criticize everyone in the book. So, while you guys are all busy doing the Charleston and partying with Gatsby, we're going to talk about a little boy named Nick Carraway, who moves to New York from the Midwest. And he moves to East Egg. No, he moves to West Egg. It's been a year since I read the book last. Okay, don't blame me. He moves... Gonna check now. He moves to West Egg. And he moves in to this huge, colossal enigma wrapped in a question mark of a man named J. Gatsby. And for the first chapter at least, all we hear about is, do you know Gatsby? So Nick has moved to West Egg, and the first thing that happens is that he loses his dog, and then he gets invited to go over to his cousin's house in old moneyed East Egg and have dinner. His cousin is Daisy Buchanan, married to Nick's college roommate, Tom Buchanan. Tom, hulking brute of a butt-head Buchanan. Daisy has another middle name, but I'm not going to say that on the off chance that my grandparents watch this. So, he goes over and he meets Tom, and the description of Tom, if I can find it, is not the most heterosexual thing. He talks about his glistening skin and muscles, and it gets kind of awkward. So dinner progresses on, and Nick meets Jordan Baker. Jordan Baker is everything I aspire to be, because all she does is roll her eyes, yawn, and make sarcastic remarks, and she exists with such a presence that Nick kind of feels sorry for existing in her presence. And then we met Jordan. She's a professional golfer, and she is the biggest gossip ever. And Daisy, of course, makes funny remarks about shipping her and Nick off in a boat, Daisy, the original shipper, and trying to get them together over this summer. That doesn't exactly work by the end of this. A lot of things happen by the end of this. Nobody's happy. Well, maybe Jordan is, but, you know. And the most phenomenal thing that happened, not phenomenal, I think detrimental would be the word. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Nick and Daisy are talking after dinner, which Tom's mistress called during. Yeah. Tom has a mistress. She calls during dinner. We'll meet her in the next chapter. Tom is the most strange character in the entire book, and that's saying something because we have J. I Want You to Want Me Gatsby. And Nick Sad Potato Sack Caraway. They talk. Nick and Daisy are talking. And she tells him that she's known about Tom's affairs. Get that plural. Affairs. Before. And they actually do have a daughter together. Tom and Daisy. And Daisy says that she hopes her little girl is a beautiful little fool, because that's the best thing a girl in this world can be. This quote has been interpreted many times since this book has been published, and this is the way I interpret it. Daisy is saying that she knows things. She knows too much and she wished that she didn't. She's saying that ignorance is bliss, and she hopes that her daughter is ignorant so she doesn't have to go through the heartache of knowing that her husband has had torrid affairs with various other women and is having one currently. Sorry. Tom Buchanan annoys me for various reasons. So does Daisy. That's gonna be another video in this series within a series. So the video concludes with Nick driving home after hearing Daisy talk about her husband's affairs and their daughter and wanting their daughter to be a beautiful little fool. And he sees this mysterious man who he assumes is Gatsby reaching out towards this green light at the end of a dock across the bay. And he assumes this man is Gatsby, and he's kind of right. And Nick doesn't really understand then why the light is important. But you're going to understand why the light is important. There's a line in Baz Luhrmann's movie adaptation of this book, where Daisy says, "All the bright and precious things fade so fast." The green light at the end of this dock is blinking. It's blinking. It's fading fast and then coming back. And that is a huge metaphor later on in this book. Nick then proceeds, after he sees Gatsby this one time, he proceeds to spend the next, 2 weeks or so just sitting there in his little itty-bitty house pining away Gatsby senpai, I hope you notice me, even though you probably don't know I exist. Or maybe you do know I exist in kind of a really weird stalkery way. And this video is bordering on 10 minutes, and I've already concluded the chapter and given y'all a very pretty good understanding. Last thing, fun fact about this book, it is actually a satirical piece on the American dream, and we'll go into that, and we'll go into why it's that way in the next chapter, and the next video. So, this was chapter 1. I'll see you all next week. This is gonna be fun.